Alright, ladies and gents, welcome to the Legendary Eirika unit analysis for, well, Legendary Eirika. Ever since Legendary Tiki, I've had requests to do this, so going forward, I will be analyzing every single Legendary hero that does make a debut going forward. They are pretty brief compared to new heroes, but Legendary heroes themselves do deserve the credit they deserve, and Legendary Tiki was definitely like more revolutionary to some people, rather than Eirika here. But as I always do, I'll be comparing her and any new Legendary heroes to units that we already have in the 3 and 4 star pool. That's always the aim, not 5-star units. There are some notable 5-star units that are definitely worth comparing to, but the aim is to make sure you recognize units you already have in your barracks. Keep in mind that I will not make these too budget in terms of builds, but rather focus on the utility of the unit or the role it might have on your team. Okay, so first of all, if you're new to my videos, you can leave a YouTube comment to say hello to the Twitch chat right below, and Twitch fans, feel free to also say hello backwards to the YouTube community. Thank you so much. If there's any questions you might have regarding these units or Eirika herself, feel free to join the Discord community as well, and I have a questions channel dedicated to that sort of thing. Tons of people there, including myself, do respond really quickly to those sort of questions. Okay. So let's talk about Eirika. Eirika is a red horse sword cavalier, which unfortunately for her is quite a saturated role. She probably would have been better as tome, but the problem is there is already a Eirika with a horse tome, so I guess you couldn't really do that. The thing that's most notable about Eirika is the fact that she provides attack water blessing buff. That's really useful, and you know, like her weapon and her solo skill and kind of like her lunar brace really makes her stand out a lot when it comes to like burst damage and being a solo unit when engaging in combat. And yeah, she can do like the highest burst damage possible in one shot, but the thing is, it's not that consistent to do it. If there was like a seal special spiral that you could throw on her and it worked on cavalry units, like she would definitely be the best in class. But due to not having that sort of option, there are notable units in the 3 and 4 star red sword cavalry pool that can compare to her, at least in the same or similar role. So Eirika, definitely good and useful to you if you like utilizing legendary heroes and making comps based around that. But keep in mind, you know, these other heroes in 3 and 4 star pool, they can be merged up, they can be having way more stats than her as a result of that, and they have similar or even better niches. So yeah, let's look at the first one. First comparison here will be Akariss, and you might be looking at it and be like, well, Teach, Akariss is like slower. Akariss, you know, it doesn't have like insane damage like Eirika does with a lunar brace setup. Yeah, but he has special spiral on his weapon, and he's also the type of character that goes in there and solos teams, because if you run a set like this in Counter Vantage, and most recently he can take advantage of the Brazen Attack Res Seal, his damage output is absolutely nuts with Draconic Aura, adding at least 20 bonus damage minimum without any sort of buffs. As soon as you give him more buffs, he reaches like 30 plus attack on his Draconic Aura, and he always gets initiative. Always gets it because of this encounter advantage, with always setting up with Brazen Attack Res. Now, if he got Brazen Attack Defense, it would work really well. Notably, Akariss is going to be more of the rarer unit to pick up here rather than some of the other Red Sword Cavs you'll see. But again, it is something you will likely see at least once or twice while pulling red. And you might actually see him while going for someone like Eirika or Ike, for instance. You'll definitely see him more often. And he does this really well. You know, if you buff him up with a Hone Cav and you play on the player phase, Savage Blow is an additional 7 damage to any further units that engage on him. Akariss, highly recommended, recently released, and absolutely dominates this sort of role with clearing out full fields. And I mean, like, Eirika unfortunately can't rely on a special every single combat and remain unkillable, because if the thing is, Akariss will miss his kill and die if he misses the kill. But Eirika doesn't have that sort of luxury. There's no Vantage Seal. So you have to play on the player phase with that special always charged, and you can't rely on Desperation or Vantage because Lunar Brace takes that B slot. So the winner here kind of is Akariss in most situations. Yes, Eirika will do the bigger damage hit, especially with something like Luna plus Lunar Brace if that's set up, but Akariss has he's just going to be more consistent than Eirika. Okay, so next up on our list, I want to showcase Daddy Elwood, who unfortunately hasn't had a legendary hero form yet. But yeah, again, the thing with Elwood is his B slot is free. So you're looking at him here, and he doesn't need a heavy blade seal, and his weapon is just going to do that already. And the thing is, because of his lopsided stat spread, it works to his advantage, especially with the new Brazen Attack Res Seal and an Attack Res Solo, because, I mean, what else are you going to use Flora for? So give our boy Attack Res Solo, Brazen Attack Res, Desperation, and you can likely hit a lot of defense play with merges. Blazing Durandal's a built-in heavy blade, and you have yourself Glacey's nukes up to 40 damage every second fight. More consistently than Eirika. He's by himself. He doesn't even need setup. If you gave him setup, he is completely going to wreck things. So again, as a reminder, this is not meant to be looking at this like, I'm talking about the unit itself in its best case scenario, and Elwood with this sort of investment is going to absolutely demolish things far more consistently than even Eirika is. And that's really what it comes down to. The burst damage every second hit he does, and he wouldn't even need to rely on it in a lot of cases because his attack stat reaches into the higher 60s, 70s with a little bit of support, and it merges. He absolutely would crush things. And finally, okay, so what did I look at? I looked at a couple of 3 and 4 star stat lines, and honestly, I thought this was quite fitting. Okay, I felt this was immersive, to be totally honest, because these two units start your game in FE8, and I'm like, well, it kind of makes sense. He has the stat spread for it. So again, you probably want to give Seth something like attack speed solo, not necessarily attack res. If there was like attack defense, that would be a lot better, but attack res is going to be placeholder there until something like that exists, because the idea of this is similar to what Eirika's trying to accomplish, which is being able to dish out big damage, you know, every combat and able to take some of it back. So Eirika, like I said, needs to take some damage, needs to get into engagements. She does have a lot of bulk from Storm Siglinde, giving her 30 defense, and you go for that super boon, she'll be at 34, which is not too bad at all. But again, the thing is, compared to Seth, he can actually use Renewal, so he can keep himself healthy. And of course, combine Woedao with Bonfire and Heavy Blade, and you got yourself a Bonfire almost every hit. Now, his attack stat isn't going to be high enough to truly utilize Heavy Blade all the time, but you know, it's close enough generally, and maybe with a bit of merges and support, he's going to pull off almost same identical role. And again, with attack defense solo, he does it even better. Another thing to consider, because maybe you don't want to go for those huge burst hits, you could actually run Slaying Edge with Ignis instead. That also works, and I think it might even perform better than Woedao Bonfire. But yeah, like, same idea. Big damage, big hits, huge. So yeah, I mean, this is pretty much how Eirika's going to perform. She's going to be your soloist on the team, just based on how her base kit works. It's Lunar Brace, Storm Siglinde, solo skill, throw her into the pack, and demolish things that way. If you choose to actually change out, and I want to consider this as well, if you choose to change out her Storm Siglinde, then you don't necessarily have to use her as a soloist unit. Maybe you can use her more of like supporting the team, maybe, if you maybe threw like a Katamatsu on her, but kept Lunar Brace. The thing that's awkward about this, though, is that Lunar Brace is an offensive skill, and it doesn't really work well with support. So even though she might provide water blessings and attack and such, which is really useful, and you threw like Katamatsu and still scored optimally in arena, the problem with that is still like Lunar Brace is a dead B skill in that case, and even something like Solar Brace from Ephraim makes even more sense, just so he doesn't get kills. It doesn't really work in your favor here. So again, quick summary between the 3 units mentioned. There's also other notable honorable mentions I want to mention in the 3 and 4 star sword pool is Kayn, Stall, for different reasons, all different reasons. Consider like Panic Ploy, consider just the speed, and just different stat spreads. So these 2 are also very good. And in the 5-star pool, we got ourselves Sword Heart, which is similar to Ares here, and Brave Roy and Sigbert as well. These are also going to be doing kind of similar roles, but Again, it depends on their stat spreads and what you need the unit to do. Keep in mind that Desperation, Vantage, and things like Renewal are so huge when it comes to constructing a unit like this, and Lunar Brace sacrifices that. In the future, should we get things like a Vantage Seal, a Desperation Seal, or a Renewal Seal, Eirika will become much more consistent as a unit and not have to rely on these big hits. So that's what I'm trying to kind of show off here. You can still use your 3 and 4 star units, and not sacrificing that B skill is a huge boon to the characters that are not Legendary Eirika. I'm not downplaying Legendary Eirika. I want to make sure I conclude that. Just to wrap things up, Eirika's an amazing unit. She's going to do her job really well. She's got a great stat spread, tons of speed. You don't need to necessarily go for a plus speed boon. You could probably use defense instead, or even attack and help her that way. And she's going to do just fine. And you know, that's what she's going to do. But like I said, not having a B slot is just painful. You could always throw the same builds onto her as you see here, except Akariss, because he's unique in that way, and Elwood unfortunately has Heavy Blade in his weapon. But you could pretty much copy the same build here on Seth and throw it on Eirika, and they're going to perform almost the same. That's pretty much my analysis and some comparisons to what we already have in the 3 and 4 star pool. Don't feel totally obligated to get Eirika. As I say with most new units, Eirika unfortunately doesn't really stand out compared to what we already have as options. And maybe just wait until January, because we have confirmation now that Ike is actually going to be sharing with Eirika in January. So you can get yourself some pretty good value there by pulling both Eirika and Legendary Ike on the January 2019 banner. So that's attack, speed, solo, considered fodder, or warding breath, or just merges in general, and you can get yourself a lot of value there. Even though we do have pretty good options in this current banner, it's just Eirika, I feel like maybe should wait until January, even as appealing as the red pull might be. So if you have some ideas, feel free to leave it in the comments. I'd like to hear how you plan to utilize Eirika. Do you maybe want to take off the B slot and use her that way? Maybe change out her weapon, use her base kit, and maybe there's just something I'm not seeing. Like I acknowledge that Black Luna and Luna coming from her weapon combined with specials and Lunar Brace is really powerful, but you know, these other units, they're still here and they still get the job done. So please let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Peace.